Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi-ho, everybody, and welcome back to D Plus Us, the show about all things Disney. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Tennell, Griffy D-Pad, and with me, as always, the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. How are you doing?
Whip thwip.
Thwip, indeed. We got a great show for you all today. We are finally getting back to a lot of the things we've missed over the last few months when we have been extremely busy for a litany of reasons. But we're not talking about our poor timing quite yet. I'm sure we'll talk about it multiple times throughout this episode, but that's beside the point. We're here today to talk about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1, fully out, fully been there, done that by the time we're recording it, but it's a good enough show for us to talk about now, and to not be talking about it alone. Justin, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's so good you should watch it twice because it's been a while since I've watched it.
We all forgot.
But I'm happy to reminisce and go through it.
Okay,
Show, don't we?
out for just
Yeah,
a
we'll
minute
get there.
Mitch, so can you repeat whatever you just said?
Yeah, you froze on our end too. We all forgot what happened in the show, so this is going to be interesting.
I didn't. I remember things, mostly because I also just recently rewatched it because I really like this show.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be part of the interesting conversation then, because I think we have some differing opinions on some parts of the show.
Mm-hmm. Look, I got into the mood of like I want to rewatch something, but I want it to be recent. But I wanted it to be something I don't fully remember, but I wanted it to be something familiar, and I eventually settled on Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man because it's, I think, a very fun show. We'll get into all the nitty-gritty and stuff, but housekeeping before we really jump into things. First off, hey, what's up? How's it going? Thank you for listening to us. If you're on YouTube, we also have a podcast version, and if you're on podcast, we also have a video version where you can see our lovely faces, B-roll, and also other videos, like the video where I recreated Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, a in-theme park video game in my apartment, because I am insane. Go check that out. Go check out our other stuff. Go check out our weekly series where we're currently talking about Daredevil Born Again, or check out any of the old episodes about any old TV shows. And we got a lot of stuff happening. It's all awesome. Go check it out.
I should watch Daredevil.
You should. It's really good.
I mean, you should. It's great, and it's almost over, and I'm kind of sad about that. But then we roll right into Andor, starting the week after the Daredevil finale.
I'll be ready for Andor.
I gotta start working on
Our Griffin, are you ready to record 3 episodes a week?
1 episode a week, talking about 3. I'm not recording 3 episodes a week. That's insane.
Yeah, it is. Just insane enough that we would do it.
Not that insane. Anyways, yeah, check out all of our other stuff. Check out maybe someday our social medias. I doubt it. Anyways.
Everything's on fire. We're just sticking to our own little bubble that we like.
As I mentioned at the top of the episode, there's a lot of stuff that we meant to talk about when it was coming out that we just never got around to because we are.
I had a baby.
Mitch has a kid now. I moved across the country.
We missed Moana 2. We missed Mufasa. We missed.
I mean,
Snow White. Like... Do you really miss Snow White? I don't know. The jury's still out on that one. Yeah.
We dodged the bullet.
From a conversation standpoint, that's about it.
We will definitely be talking about that at some point when it drops on Disney Plus, because I'm not paying actual money to go and see that movie.
I paid actual money to go see that movie.
Yeah, but it was all.
Okay, I cut out again.
There's a memory.
Your internet's doing funny things because your video froze again.
We're gonna keep chatting, but I'm gonna check my internet.
Okay,
wow,
keep going.
But since we're...
because here's the thing, here's the real secret about this show is that ultimately I really don't give a shit.
No.
Anymore.
Always gonna be a bit of a crapshoot. We did do Brave New World though, didn't we?
We did do Brave New World. We were good about doing that one.
That's only because I forced my wife out for a date, 3 months after our kid was born.
And good on you for that, because that was a fun episode. Anyways, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Each episode running about 30 minutes, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
10 episodes total. Fun, alternate universe, multiversal take on the Spider-Man origin story as far as we know it in the MCU.
A weird schedule, if I recall, right? It was like 2 episodes one week, 3 episodes the other week.
Yeah, they dropped in like weird chunks if you're looking at them by number, but like there
Yeah.
were chunks that made sense within the story of like the
Yeah,
show.
so it was 2, 3, 3, 2.
Yeah.
And it
Which
was,
I appreciate Marvel and Disney just doing weird things with release schedules, because like we got that as well with Daredevil, where we got the 2-episode premiere, we got a few weeks where it was 1 episode, then we got another 2-episode drop, then 1 episode. Andor is doing 3 episodes a week.
That's right. This will be the final season.
Yeah.
I mean, it ends with Rogue One, and we should probably do an episode on that movie if we haven't already, because it's a great movie.
pretty sure we've done an episode on Rogue One.
I think you did, but it would have been before my time.
We're gonna try and get Gary Whitta this time.
Not all of us have the internet pull that you do, Justin.
No one cares about us that much to get Gary on the show.
I mean, Justin would.
I would try, but you know.
But no, it's I just appreciate the fact that they're playing a little fast and loose with these rules. There's not a strict, well, we'll do a 2-episode premiere and it'll drop at 6 p.m. and then everything else will drop at 9 p.m. once a week for X number of weeks. Like it's nice that they're messing around with it, because it isn't traditional television, so they can, you know, they don't have to follow a traditional television release schedule, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, I like
Especially as
that.
a new dad, where I just want to sit down and binge everything if I have the time.
I really like the release schedule on this one because I like it. I like this style of we are going to release it in such a sense that makes sense for the story. When you have
That's true.
a 30-minute TV series, you're not always going to be able to tell full stories in 30 minutes unless you're truncating things. Like it's very much why streaming has its perks over something like live TV. It's one of the special natures that they have here, and I love that they played with it for this, and I think it really played to their benefit. If this was a single episode a week show, I think I still would have been hyped on it, but not nearly as excited as I was week to week with this show.
See, I was in a different place with this, where I didn't actually watch it when it dropped. I think there like 2 or 3 of those weeks in the middle, I kind of let them stack up. One, because I was busy as hell. For context, the first episode drop was the day before my birthday, and the last episode drop was my wife's birthday. So it's a very busy 2-month chunk there. So it wasn't easy to just jump in and watch them as soon as they dropped. So I did binge more of this than I normally do with these Disney shows, and I still enjoyed my time with it. There are a few things that took me out of the experience, but we'll talk about that as we get more into the show itself. But Justin, how did you kind of approach this release schedule in terms of how you consumed this show?
Yeah, so basically they released it on the day of the 2 episodes, and I binged the first 2. When it does the 3-episode arc, I had to break that off into like parts of the day to the next day, because I'm like, I can't give you an hour and a half of my time. I don't have that. I have an hour lunch. I have to eat and then go back to work. So, but I do like it. I do like. I kind of worry how far, if you're trying to do a podcast, I can see it being kind of hard doing a podcast after each episode.
Well, and with the release schedule they had, it didn't really make a lot of sense for us to do it as it
Oh
dropped.
no, I'm talking about other outlets too. Like I'm sure the other ones.
Oh yeah,
are-
everyone who was doing them, like I was looking like for Kind of Funnies in particular, and like
yeah.
they had very weird schedules for that. Where I think they put one up like halfway through the season, and then another when the season ended. Like this was
Yeah.
very much a weird drop in terms of content creation. But
Yeah.
like also, we're such a weird subset of the people watching this show. Like they very much shouldn't be planning around us.
You don't
That's true.
say.
Yeah.
We've talked about that, but I want to get into the actual meat and potatoes of this. I keep using that reference for some reason right now.
Meat and potatoes.
Yeah, I keep using that a lot at the moment for some
Oh.
reason. There's a lot of stuff to talk about though with this show, story,
Yeah.
animation, but I think the big one is the animation style. A lot of question marks about this animation style going into the show. Going for that 3D similar to What If, but with a much more comic booky style. What did you guys think of the animation in this?
I'll start first. I did like the style. I really did. I'm really glad they did not use the What If art style because I find that very annoying and hard to watch. But this one felt like very 2D animated, and then when you had your action sequence, you could tell it. Oh, okay, we're going a little bit more 3D art. I think the only big issue I heard, and I didn't have a big problem with it, was I guess some people found it framey. Is that the right word? Yeah. Okay. So there we go.
It's Mitch.
Mitch found it framey. Yeah.
There was something about it when it was in motion where I loved any of the scenes with Pete in his costume. I didn't find as much to gripe on there. What I found was faces were weird. Like mouth movement, maybe it was the audio sync between the facial animation and the VO, but there was just it felt very much like the Neil Patrick Harris Spider-Man show or like Iron Man Armored Adventures in the way that they did the audio sync, where there was just something like there was a bit of an uncanny it's funny, like I don't know why this came to my head, but it's like there's an uncanny valley nature to it where I didn't feel immersed enough into the animation because there was this weird thing in my brain that saw there being a bit of a desync or framiness to the animation versus the VO. Maybe it was just my eyes or my TV or my brain, but it pulled me out of the experience more often than I wanted it to. Overall, I liked the story. I liked we did this What If Pete was mentored by Norman Osborn rather than Tony Stark. But ultimately, like, there's enough of that technical aspect of it. While I love the animation style, some of it it didn't work with my eyes or my TV or my brain or some combination of the three.
See, this is one of the interesting things to me because I like hear what you're saying and hear it for you, but at the same time disagree with everything you said. Where I'm like, I love the animation style in this. I thought it was extremely smooth all the way through. It was something you and I had like talked about as we were going through it, and you had mentioned you think it's the mouth, it's the faces, it is that specifically. And I looked at it, was like, no, I think this is incredibly smooth and incredible for what they're doing here.
Maybe I got to dive into my TV settings or something then, because there was something just off, and I can't.
Mind you, I was also watching this in like hotel TVs. Like, that's just what I was doing at the time. It was a show for me that I really like this different animation style for it. It's this old school, take it back to the OG comic book art style, seeing like, the comic book panel frames kind of pop up. And for me, it pulls a lot of the best parts of a bunch of previous Spider-Man cartoons, where it does have like the comic booky style of the 90s Spider-Man, but it also has the kind of fourth wall breaky weirdness of Ultimate Spider-Man with some of the comic book stuff it does, but it also has the colors of Spectacular Spider-Man. Like, it's genuinely, I love how this looks and how that animation style then pairs with the different character designs we got in this, of like Peter versus Lonnie versus Nico versus Harry are all very, very different, both in color scheme, outfit, character, the whole 9 yards. I really think it all just meshes together so well.
Yeah, and like don't get me wrong, like I love all of the comic motifs they have here. I love the opening scroll. I love the end credit scroll where they showed some of like the different potential designs for some of these characters. Pete looking a lot like Tom Holland, Pete looking exactly like Steve Ditko's drawings in the original comic run, and then the Pete that we got. It was just something about it in motion for me. I can't put a finger on it. Like there was, it's really hard to pin it down, but there was just something off.
That OG, like I love the nods to the old stuff, even the 60s stuff. Like that intro is great.
My God, the intro is so great, and then it gets into the modern theme, but it samples the 60s theme.
Oh,
it's like,
so
man,
good.
It hits so good.
Yeah, the theme is great. I also love how every episode that ends with the title card of it being a comic book.
Yes.
And like every title card is different for whatever's going on in that episode. It really just sets the tone for what is this going to be. This is going to be fun as hell. But also, we're gonna get serious in some of these. Some of these episodes got really, really serious. This was some of the most violent I've seen a Spider-Man cartoon.
I really appreciate the backstory on what they did with Lonnie. Um, I never knew that about Tombstone, and how they addressed it was very smart. And it's like, wow, he's this really bright kid and just got hooked into a bad situation, and I totally felt bad for that character, and I just fell in love with this version of Tombstone, as we would later learn.
And it does feel like for future seasons, they're setting up Tombstone to be a more significant piece of the story. And I actually love the fact that Lonnie is introduced the way he is in season 1, because as they build throughout the show, that tension is going to build between Spidey and Lonnie. And just if we follow anything close to what we got in the comics, that is. Whereas the origin, like, this character is very different than his comic book counterpart, but if they get to the place that Lonnie does in the books and where Pete does, there's going to be a breaking point somewhere. And we actually see, like, full spoilers at this point. Like, we get that team up towards the end of this season. Like, oh, that's cool. But this isn't always going to be, sunshine and unicorns between these two.
Oh yeah, I think that's going to be a major player in season 2 of this. We got kind of the montage at the end of this of the finale that we'll talk about eventually, but where you kind of end up seeing Lonnie, right, starting from this character who is begrudgingly joining this gang to protect his brother, to he's running shit at this point. By the end of this, like, it's very fascinating for this character to be someone who's like, no, he is running this gang now, but there are still those bits and pieces, right, of like, no, he does still care. Like, he still cares about people, about his city, and I'm so curious how it's going to play out going forward. But for what we got in these 10 episodes, I loved seeing it. The one that really kicked it for me was his first kind of interaction with the Scorpion Gang, and the way they showed Lonnie's fear throughout all of that, and his distancing himself from his girlfriend, from Peter, from everybody, like, they really went the extra mile for us to care just as much about Lonnie as we do about everybody else in this show. Yeah. There's a couple episodes I would tell you even like Lonnie is the main protagonist of those episodes instead of Peter.
Also, just shout out to Bulldozer. I think was a lot of great comedic relief, and I'm wearing a WWE shirt. Not intentionally, but just shout out to Big E, former WWE wrestler. I mean, current, former, injured, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good in the role, and added a lot, like, added layers to that gang that made it easier to sympathize with their situation than if his role had not been there or hadn't been as, comedic as it was.
Yeah, a character there, I didn't realize that was Big E until after the show.
Yeah.
Oh,
Much later.
the second I heard his voice, I'm like, yo.
For me,
I'm so happy for him, just to branch out.
Yeah, for me it was his football coach. I was like, I heard that coach, and I'm like, that's Roger Craig Smith. I knew Roger Craig Smith anywhere.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that was him.
The one that I
You
popped.
play enough Sonic the Hedgehog games, and you just recognize that
You
voice
can't not
everywhere.
hear him, yeah. The one that got me to pop, obviously, I mean, there were two. Full spoilers at this point. Like, seeing Daredevil pop up in this, voiced by Charlie Cox, was fun. But also, the end of the last episode. We get Richard Parker in prison, voiced by Josh Keaton.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, Spectacular Spider-Man.
It was a wild moment. As far as voice actors, I have to shout him out because I am a freaking Critical Role nerd, but seeing Travis Willingham pop up in this was just not someone who I expected for him to be voicing Mikhail. Presumably will be becoming the Rhino eventually.
And Thaddeus Ross.
And Thaddeus Ross, yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, the voice acting in this, though, incredibly good. Eugene Bird, in particular, voicing Lonnie. But I think the best goes to Coleman Domingo voicing Norman.
He was fantastic. I want to shout out Hugh Dancy, who voiced Octavius. He was also very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you guys like Osborn in this version? It was very nice to see him as a mentor, and then but really with a darker twist as a mentor.
Oh, it's such a toxic relationship in the best way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, it is one of those I cannot wait in all the right ways that I want in a TV show. This would sound horrible if I was talking about real people, but in all the best ways, I cannot wait for this relationship to fall apart. Like, you can feel it coming, and it happens a little bit in some of the later episodes there. But like his take with great power comes great respect.
That was such a good play. I
really
couldn't
was.
believe them. Like,
But
oh
the
my
intro
gosh.
for Norman too, being like a full recreation of the Peter Parker intro scene in Civil War, and then for it to pan and show Norman instead of Tony, like
That was so good.
so good.
I mean, we knew it was
Yeah.
coming, but that still felt really good. Obviously, season 2 setting up a few different storylines here. I mean, we know based on what they've said that Spider-Gwen is going to play a part in season 2. The end of this season with Richard Parker in prison, is Norman the reason he's there? Is that what causes this rift between Pete and Norman? Or, makes it worse than it already was? And then just seeing Coleman Domingo go full Goblin, I cannot friggin' wait.
What I really loved about Norman in this series versus others is that he is not a supervillain. He is just a corporate
yet.
CEO.
Not yet.
And there is
He has the
inherent-
glider.
Well,
The glider's there.
hear me out on this. Just stick with me. I'm gonna get on my capitalism bad soapbox for a little bit on the Disney podcast. I love that he's just an
Capitalism
evil
bad?
CEO.
Disney? No, those cannot be related.
Again,
What do you want?
we are the anti-Disney podcast, and I stand by that statement. No, I love that he's just an evil CEO. Like his entire motivation throughout this entire show is just, oh, shit's gone crazy in this world because of all of the superheroes and shit. How can I use that to make a ton of money? And like, that's what gets us to building this thing. And he's doing horrible, evil CEO things, manipulating a bunch of children to build him a portal across space. It's like perfectly evil CEO behavior in the Marvel universe. I love it so much.
It is. Octavius is right
Oh yeah.
in that Norman is Norman is the evil CEO, just taking everyone else's ideas, making them his own instead of actually doing the work. Like the parallels between what Norman does here and what Elon Musk is doing with the real American government right now and all of his businesses. You see this. I'm like, how the hell did this get made in this political climate?
We've been asking that every week when we've been talking about Daredevil. Like
That is also very true.
Marvel is so good.
Justin,
about
you gotta
real
watch
in the real
Daredevil.
world
Goddamn.
villains.
I need to watch it.
It's genuinely, I love his motivations of this so much because like you have something like PlayStation 5 Spider-Man, which I'm going to spoil, folks. If you haven't played either of those games, sorry, play them, they're fantastic. But like his motivations in that one very much being a little bit more altruistic, protecting Harry, to presumably we're going to get, I would assume we're going to get Green Goblin in Spider-Man 3, but like,
Yeah, I would imagine that.
mhm.
Yeah.
Like him going from altruism to protecting his kid to I'm revenge. In this, it is like no, he does not give a shit about Harry in any way, shape, or form. And as much as that hurts for Harry, makes great TV. It is purely about the business for him here. Every single thing he does in this show is about the business. Whether it's mentoring Peter, whether it is bringing Harry in, whether it's his dealings with Thaddeus Ross, having nothing to do with Peter and much more to be doing with his tech and the things he can sell them, but just there's some things in there that might also help Peter, so he'll use that too. Everything he does is calculated in such a great, well-written way that is just top tier when it comes to writing for what will eventually be a bad guy in as far as all of the MCU has gone.
Griffin, you bring up a good point about the video game world versus this world. And I'm wondering if they are taking ideas out of this cartoon series from that game world. Because I agree with you. Spider-Man 3, the video game, will probably have the Green Goblin. I'm wondering if with this TV show, we kind of saw hints of the symbiote being introduced, and we have
Oh,
not
for
been
sure.
introduced. We have not been introduced to Eddie Brock. Even needs to exist at this point, where we can just say the symbiote, which would turn into Venom, will now be on maybe Harry in season 2 of this cartoon series.
Maybe.
So maybe they'll
I
do
would
that.
love to see it on Harry. I think honestly, pie in the sky, right? Anybody can be Venom. Like obviously,
Yes.
don't get me
That-
wrong.
MJ can be Venom.
MJ is Venom right now, which is insane and also hilarious that we all thought it was going to be her shitty boyfriend that everybody hates.
He has a top knot. It's hilarious.
Genuinely, I hate that man.
This is in the comics?
This is in the
Yeah,
comics.
it's happening right now in the comics.
I will
Yeah.
explain this. I'm not going to get into it on the podcast because I will genuinely get upset.
We'll be here for 4 hours.
Yeah.
I don't have 4 hours to be here. I'm tired.
Like anybody can be it, so I would love frankly for it to be someone at Oscorp. Maybe
That could work.
Andreas, maybe who was maybe Doc Connors, and rather than going Venom, we can go down that storyline. Whether it's could be freaking Nico. Like it can genuinely be anyone.
You
and I
could
would-
you could have an avenue here to introduce Flash.
Yeah,
You
I
could.
really think it could be anybody.
You go the Agent Venom route until it becomes too much and he
I
loses
also-
control. Kind of like what happened in Spider-Man 2, but you could use Flash as that vehicle rather than Harry.
I also don't think that they're going to do that storyline in season 2. I think that is a season 3 or season 4 thing. You set up down the line. I think it's something that you
The-
have hints and pieces of. Maybe you have the symbiote villains pop up again because, the
Multiverse,
multiverse,
aliens.
but also
yeah.
the time travel shenanigans we get in this between the pilot and the last episode. Because again, time travel shenanigans.
Paradox.
Yeah.
Mhm. Like,
Well, I
yeah,
wonder
or
too then with
frankly,
what
the best person who it could possibly be so far in the show is Matt Gargan. It's Scorpion.
yeah, that could work.
Matt Gargan
could
is one of my
work, but-
favorite Venoms in comic books.
See, mine too, but mostly because he was Venom during Civil War, and that is like one of, if not my favorite, comic runs that
Right,
Marvel
because
has
he's
there.
like, I like him as
Marvel
Venom.
crossover events.
Then, because of his time in the Dark Avengers after that,
Yeah, well, exactly. I meant all of that.
like I
kind
love
of-
him as Venom because he's just
He's shitty.
Eddie. Eddie has this emotional moral back and forth with the Venom symbiote. Matt Gargan is like, nah, fuck it, we're killing everybody.
Exactly. Most brutal Venom's ever been.
Like they could really go anywhere with that. But
I wonder though, with the time paradox shenanigans, how much of that plays into the events of the show, because this is sitting in its own little pocket of the Marvel universe, right? It's not part of the main MCU canon. It's not part of any of the other universes that we've seen. But the way that Marvel likes to tie their shit together, that kind of time travel, timey-wimey bullshit doesn't really fly with the TVA. So, where does this intersect with the multiversal story that they're telling as part of the multiverse saga?
I'll tell
That
you
I think
exactly
that's
where
what they
it's
dubbed. That's what they dubbed these phases, right?
yeah, the multiversal saga. I'll tell you exactly.
Oh,
though,
Griffin
where
froze
it's-
again.
I keep freezing. It's just happening. We're just rolling with it.
Yeah, but
That's fine.
I'm curious to see if there's ramifications of the timey-wimey bullshit in this grand scheme of the multiverse,
I'll tell you
and how
exactly
that
where
plays
it's
into
gonna-
a couple of the future seasons. But
where it's gonna.
I'd
play
also
in
love to
is
just see
in,
it totally stay on its own.
Avengers Campus in that ride. I'm just
Yeah.
saying it now because we know there's that Avengers. I forget the actual name of the ride. Mitch, if you want to look it up and fact check me. But them going through the multiverse, fighting King Thanos, and in that concept art for it, we do see this version of Spider-Man. They're going to use him there. I can see him popping up in Secret Wars if they're going to bring him into other shit. But ultimately,
Avengers Infinity Defense.
Thank you. Also,
That's a
what
ride.
name. That sounds like a mobile
It will be where they have to fight King Thanos.
Tell me I'm wrong. That is a mobile game. That sounds like such a Avengers mobile
Look,
game.
I know you're throwing shade at the amount of money I threw at Avengers Academy on mobile. Okay, you don't have to keep bringing it up.
No, I threw the same amount of money at
much-
that game. God damn
How
it,
much
I
money
wanted-
did you guys spend?
You don't want to know.
I was a teenager at the time.
I was in university with a part-time job. I probably spent more in that game than I did in Marvel Snap or any other mobile game ever.
That's a match 3 one, right?
No, it
No,
was
this
like
was
the
like
town
a
builder.
Oh, it was a town builder. Okay.
yeah, where
Those
you
were-
would pay money just to like be part of special events and
Ah.
to speed up timers and
Or
shit that I should
genuinely,
never
you
be
would just
admitting that I spent
spending
money on.
to get more characters. Like
Yeah.
I genuinely spent money to get Spider-Man.
I'm pretty sure I spent money to get Ghost Rider.
And it was awesome because Ghost Rider was Robbie, not Nick
Yeah,
Cage.
but also I should not have spent money on that game.
Oh,
I spent money on Marvel Omega. Was that? Well, I think that was
Oh, yeah,
what it's called.
the-
The Diablo one.
Marvel Heroes.
Yeah, Marvel.
Yeah, I
Heroes,
think
yeah.
I should have played
Yeah.
more of that. I really enjoyed it, but I just didn't.
You know what?
It
was
didn't
a
get its hooks in
highly-
me.
I should say is because it's still around. Highly underrated Marvel game is the game, the MMO for like the Marvel superheroes, like what was it, like kids show that was out like.
Oh,
forever
Marvel
ago?
Superhero Squad.
Yeah, Marvel Superhero Squad. That's the one. There was an MMO for it that was genuinely awesome and lasted far longer than anyone ever thought it would.
Wow.
Marvel
I didn't-
Superhero Squad Online launched in April of 2011 in the US and was shut down January of 2017.
To the point where like this game genuinely has like Spider-Gwen in it. Like it
Wow.
has far more recent characters that you just wouldn't expect. And there is a way to still play it. Superhero
Okay.
Squad Online forever.
Which that game was developed by the same studio that developed Marvel Heroes Omega, Gazillion.
Oh,
And shortly after the Marvel Superheroes Online shut down, so did that studio.
yeah. that
So
makes
how long
sense.
do we give Rivals? Rivals. I think Rivals is doing pretty well. To be fair.
I
saw
dropped
the
out of
funny- I
Rivals
saw the
midway
funniest,
through season 1.
Tweet earlier
So did I.
today about it because they just added Emma Frost and Ultron into the game. No one cares about Ultron, which is the funniest shit to me.
That game is such a friggin' magnet to people thirsting over fictional comic book
And then
characters.
they had to go and add Emma Frost.
The jiggle physics are
Yeah.
unnecessary in that
Yeah, it's
game, but they're there.
But also at the same
And
That
time,
should
I
tell you
love
all you
playing-
need to know about Marvel
At
Rivals.
the same time, I love playing Venom and him having jiggle physics on his ass. It's just funny to me.
Yeah, he does.
Because goddamn.
So to the extent that the game added a Venom twerking emote.
But I saw
Oh,
a great
good.
tweet of like people reminding, it's like, hey, yeah, Emma is hot as fuck, but also she's like
Venom
one
got
of
tanked.
the best written X-Men characters, and you just gotta actually read the shit to know that. There's a fantastic comic book panel that is Emma sitting in a limo talking to Magic and Kitty Pryde. That's just like, come on, we're gonna go kill the fascists. Because they're fighting like an evil mega corporation at the time. And it's just pure peak Emma of like, no, we're gonna cause chaos and we're gonna cause problems on purpose, and it's all gonna work out great for the right people.
Yeah.
Love her.
Just remember before we started and I told you, oh, don't worry if you don't remember anything from the show. We're just going to gab about a whole bunch of random bullshit.
Yeah, I was going to say, when are we getting back to the show?
That's
There
what
we go.
this whole thing
It
has
happens
become.
sometimes.
And I was like, do I have to be the host and help you get back to it?
Please, God, no. Look, we talked for an hour. We get back to the show at some point.
Show's great.
Show's great.
Uh,
Fantastic. I want to talk about. There's a lot to talk about here, but I want to talk about Nico. Because Nico
course
was
you
a
do.
weird poll. Nico was a really
I-
weird poll. And I love
I
it
thought
so
she was
much.
she's a great character. I don't know the story. So I know this is a spoiler episode, but like, I'm really interested what happens to her and what's her background because I don't know this
Griffin,
character.
tell everybody.
So let me
'cause
tell
you
you
know
about
Yeah.
The Runaways. Fantastic comic book, one of my favorites.
That was a
Oh,
television
The
show at some
Runaways.
point.
Was also a
Yeah.
television show that is not bad, also not good, but isn't bad. The Runaways.
They
is
definitely
a,
made more than one season, and I definitely watched one.
It was weird that show
Oh.
lasted as long as it did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Used to it.
Yeah.
But no, Nico is this character who essentially all the Runaways are children of supervillains on the West Coast. And these
Oh.
supervillains all have like the West Coast on lock. Like that's why there's no superheroes on the West Coast, kind of shit. But her entire thing is that her mom had this magic staff called the Staff of One, and then she essentially steals it from her mom and is able to use it. She's kind of a magic user. Also, selfishly, one of the token LGBTQ plus characters of the Marvel Universe, like very much has a presence in Marvel. Pulling her over here, we've got an entirely different story with her with her parents being dead and her now being on the East Coast. All of this is different, but it's still that core of no, we're still doing magic stuff. It's still witchy in a interesting, dark way. And then to get into that finale, and she summons the spirit of her mom. I freaked the fuck out. Like, I genuinely did not see that coming.
Yeah,
was like,
I don't know
your
what to
mom's
expect.
dead, I guess we're going with that for your character now. Like, just did not see that coming. Anyways, there's me rambling about Nico, because God, I love this character.
I'm very excited to see where her character will go, because I think she's a good confidant for Pete. You can almost feel the real
There's a
sadness in
friendship
her.
there.
No, but you also feel that sadness in her when Pete tells Harry by accident, of course, and then she didn't divulge that to Nico, or he didn't divulge it to her.
Yeah, Nico, like, going through those emotions of it was so good. I
Yeah,
love that
that's
for
so
her.
good. So well done.
I also love that Nico gave us not one, or I guess it wasn't her directly, but because of her, we got not one, but two separate Beetlejuice references in this show.
It's really interesting to see this alternate version of this character. And again, it's just one of those threads that they leave open that I'm really hoping gets the time to shine as this show progresses, because I honestly worry that they have too many characters. Right? You've got all these different threads. You've got Nico, you've got Tombstone, you've got Wave, who we haven't talked about once. You've got like Norman, you've got Otto, you've got there's so much here to unpack that I worry we're just running into this being a cameo fest, and then we're not going to get the real character development from that core group as this show continues on.
Yeah,
Remind me again, who's Wave?
Wave in the comics is a mutant with the ability to control water. Here, she's Lonnie's girlfriend and Pete's childhood crush. Pearl
yeah.
is Wave in the comics. Yeah, she's a mutant.
I didn't know that.
Most people don't, and
Well,
that
also
wasn't
got
something that
Finesse.
they divulge in this first season, right?
We also got Finesse and Daredevil and Amadeus Cho. Like, we got this whole cast of characters. Asha. Like, we got this whole cast of characters at Oscorp, right? That it seems like we're going to be getting most of them.
You've
back
got
with,
Doc Connors.
It feels like we're going to. Well, I'm focused on the kids right now. We'll get to
Yeah,
Doc
no,
Connors.
I know.
Yeah.
Because Doc
Yeah.
Connors will absolutely get more storyline. You can't have a Doc Connors in Spider-Man and not have them have story. But like all these kids, like who are these big name, have these massive backstories to them. Whether it is Finesse, whether it is a character from Wakanda, like you have these backing to them, and they don't really get much showing time throughout this show. I really do hope that season 2 goes into that a little more, and I think they will because of this web storyline that they're setting up with the Worldwide Engineering Brigade, which I'm so happy to see them doing this in the show. The previous Spider-Man cartoon that came out that wasn't great, people didn't love it, ended on a cliffhanger of them founding Web. And I'm happy to see this actually form in a show. It is something we see in the theme parks, but actually getting, a bunch of engineers together to make stuff for the betterment of the world is such a fun play with the Spider-Man character. And I can't wait to see how it plays out.
All right, so I was wrong, and I just want to call that out. Wave isn't a mutant. She just has water powers.
Okay,
How'd you get the water powers?
Wave is one of the other 5,000 ways to get powers in the Marvel Universe.
Here, where's the Marvel fandom Wikipedia
Let's play a
thing that
game,
says
mutant or inhuman.
Okay, so
Betting in human.
she was approached as a potential Olympic athlete in swimming. She was approached by a representative of the company Allentech, who had learned of her from her high school swim team records. They used her swimming expertise for experiments, but unbeknownst to Pearl, they were a nefarious organization that was eventually targeted by the Triumph Division. During the division's assault on Allentech's lab, Pearl was drenched in water and exposed to energies of unknown origin, granting her the ability to control water. So,
Okay, well there you go.
Mystic, funky water energy.
All right, so not a mutant.
Maybe she is, and that'll get revealed in like 14 years in some spin-off of Spider-Gwen or something.
Okay, she's one of the agents of Atlas. That makes
She's an agent of
sense.
Atlas, yeah. So a few years ago, Marvel introduced a team that was Asian-based heroes, I think led by Amadeus Cho, with Wave, with Arrow,
Led by,
and a
led
few
by
other...
Jimmy Woo, currently.
Sorry, Jimmy Woo, yes. So.
Yeah, I actually do really like that. Also, Wave, just in general, has a really dope outfit as far as like character designs go. Also, the technical term for it is mutate.
Fancy pants
in
over
Marvel
here.
Worlds, there's mutants and mutates. Mutants are born with their powers. Mutates have it connected to them via, spider bite, radioactive pit, experimentation, etc., etc.
Other agents of Atlas include Miss Marvel and Shang-Chi.
Oh, there you go.
Also, because people know her now.
And also, Amadeus Cho was the founding leader of the Agents of Atlas. Eventually, Jimmy Woo took over.
Current.
Oh, sorry.
I also
because I just remember that first poster, the first comic cover that they did for the Agents of Atlas.
Because she's known because we mentioned Marvel Rivals. Luna Snow was also a member at one point.
Right.
That's actually where Luna Snow was introduced.
That was where she was introduced in the comics, but she was introduced via I think
introduced in that mobile game originally.
Yeah, Contest of Champions or whatever.
Dude, Marvel is weird. We talk about it a lot. Marvel makes a lot of weird decisions.
That was introduced in a game. This character.
Luna Snow was introduced in a mobile game originally.
Oh,
I think
gosh.
and I think she was introduced as a K-pop star because that was popular in those.
Why not?
Well, no, because I'm pretty sure the developer is Korean.
Yeah, they do weird shit, and it's honestly what's the weirdest part about it. 9 times out of 10, it works. But bringing it back around, going for Web.
Marvel Future Fight, which was developed by South Korean.
Oh, there you
Say
go.
the name one more time.
Netmarble?
For Netmarble. Marvel Future Fight?
Yeah.
Developed by South Korean publisher or mobile game developer Netmarble.
Okay. I want to bring us back for just a second, getting back into some of these. Harry. Zena Robinson, fantastic performances. What an interesting take, though, on this character.
Yeah, really smart idea. I definitely saw him as the social light, as he is. I guess that's what he is. That's what the term is, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that he's an influencer.
Yeah, well, exactly, right? With his status, him being an influencer makes a lot of sense. And I also love that there are layers to it. Again, everything's an onion in this show. Everything has layers. 5 points to your house of choice if you understood that reference. Because that means you're old like me. Really love that he's reluctantly this influencer. He doesn't enjoy it. He doesn't enjoy the spotlight. He just wants to be a kid and chill and have a good time and be the guy in the chair. But ultimately, I think it was an interesting way to, again, ground this character, make him likable, make him relatable. So his eventual turn, whatever that's going to look like in this show, because again, the show focuses on Pete's high school years. So I don't know, to your point earlier, Justin, about the symbiote, I don't know how much we're going to delve into that, because that was very much Pete, well-established, symbiote becomes a thing, corrupts him, all that stuff. Seems a little off for the high school years, especially with the original pitch of this being in the MCU, even though it now is not. But yeah, I love the way that we're seeing Harry here, and eventually his turn or his demise or his downfall, whatever it's going to be, is there's going to be that much more weight to it because of how close you get to this character this first season.
Yeah, the way.
Speaking of this season, sorry, Griffin, go ahead
I was gonna
first.
say, with him, like in this season, I think that his isolation from his dad makes me wonder what route they'll go for with him. Because Harry is obviously, we've gone 1,000 different ways with Harry in 1,000 different mediums. Like, you can really go anywhere with that character, whether he is, he eventually picks Peter over his dad, or he goes down the Goblin route eventually, or Venom, or Death, or there was that one time that he came back and started and like killed his dad and turned him good. Like they've done a lot of weird shit.
Did Griffin freeze?
I did freeze again. I'm gonna keep freezing. It's just happening. My internet is being weird tonight. Sorry, folks.
That's all right.
I
Just
wonder where
repeat
they're
your
gonna
last
go.
point.
I
okay.
wonder where they're gonna go for it. Like, because we have this isolation story that they tell here. Like, has that whole conversation with Nico, right, about how he's like, he is an influencer, but like all of these people that follow him say he's friends with through that, like, it's all shallow. None of that is actual friendship. So for what he actually has with Peter and Nico, that's why that's special. It really is a different take for me on Harry, and I'm really curious how that plays out going forward.
So I don't know how Disney plans to address. They obviously Spider-Man, a beloved character, could continue on for several seasons, but this show is not going for several seasons. We know of a season 2 is in production, and they've announced season 3. Are we at that point where we're going to say, "Yep, season 3 is where they're going to wrap it up, done"? We do 3 seasons, or are we expecting season 4, 5, and 6, or no?
I would expect
Disney knows
4
when to cut the
seasons.
cord because we're not going to get to address a lot of these things that we want in 8 episodes.
I'm expecting 4 seasons total. I think because originally this was Spider-Man freshman year, and then season 2 is going to be sophomore year, junior, etc. Like I'm expecting a 4-season story here, but also
I'm expecting this to be done in 3.
But also, like I don't need everything to I don't need us to, oh, this character's here, so they have to have a massive story here. Ultimately, like, even if we didn't get anything else, I would be satisfied with where we're at. I am happy we are getting more, and I hope they continue that no, this has fun ramifications future on down the line, but this is a satisfying end. Mitch, how about you?
All right.
I'll take what I get at this point. I'm used to Disney disappointing me and canceling things before they should be canceled. So whatever I can get from them for this, I will be happy to get it. I'm hoping whatever weirdness my eye brain TV combo caused in season 1 is addressed in season 2, but obviously that might just be a me problem. I want to see more of these, the specifically Spider-Man bad guys in ways that are funny. Like we got Unicorn. Not a character I ever expected to see in anything, but hey, we got someone shooting laser beams out of their forehead. That was neat.
Yeah, I hope we get weird shit. Like, I hope we get like Stoat Man.
I hope we get the Spot again.
Oh my god, yeah.
I don't think they'll touch that just because they're
Spider-Verse.
eventually going to release another animated Spider-Man film, right?
In 2027.
Right?
They showed stills from it at CinemaCon.
Stills are just that.
But it's better than nothing, man.
I guess. Give me Swarm. Swarm would be fun in animation, I think.
Fun. Yeah. Like,
or the Hood. I know we're getting the Hood and Ironheart, but the Hood is just a
not
cool
gonna touch
character.
any characters they're using in base MCU. Also, the Hood would have to fight Spider-Man one-on-one for that to actually be a Spider-Man villain.
True.
Um,
Hydro
yeah,
Man.
maybe.
Love his run in the 90s show.
Speaking of Hydro Man, let's get off topic again. I was recently over at Universal, and Hydro Man is one of the villains they use in the Spider-Man ride there.
Wow.
I gotta go to Universal eventually.
They have the weirdest combination of characters for their. It's not called the Sinister Six because there's 5 of them. It's literally called something like Sinister Squadron. Like it's 5 very random characters. Like Doc Ock is the main villain of it. It was like, okay, that makes sense. But then you've got Mysterio. I'm like, okay, he's fairly normal. Then Hydro Man. I'm like, okay, we're already off the rails here. and then Scream.
See, Hydro Man doesn't feel off the rails because I feel like when that ride was originally in production, or at least when they were conceptualizing the Marvel Land at Universal, it was probably like early 2000s. So Hydro Man was a big part of the 90s animated Spider-Man show. So it's not, I don't think it's that much of a stretch.
Water
remember
parks
the last
are
one.
needed. You need a water park. You need Hydro
Also,
Man.
water theme in attraction. You just
Yeah.
spray people with some water.
Well,
You know,
that's
it's
the thing, like,
4D.
most of those rides spray you with water. It's weird. But then the last one is Hobgoblin.
I like
Which
Hobgoblin.
brings me to my point. Use Hobgoblin more. Hobgoblin is
Yeah.
a cool villain.
He was great in the '90s version. I really enjoyed him in the '90s version. I didn't know that was Mark Hamill.
Also, frankly, can you imagine this show using Ned as Hobgoblin? When we have Ned in the MCU,
I don't think they'll touch that.
like I don't think they will either, but I would love that so much. Of like, no, this is our next, hey, remember this character from the MCU moment? Like,
Nah. You know who it's going to be? The next weird out of left field character that's going to get some tech upgrade next season from Doc Ock.
oh, now's
I
the
don't know
time.
who that is.
It cut off right as you were saying the name.
Kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
Kangaroo is a weird one. Here's
Or
my
the
prediction.
Smites. The Smites would be interesting.
Because this character's been referenced
Oh.
before.
Yeah.
I would love it if they used Screwball.
Again, tying into Justin's thoughts on making it closer to the video game world.
Mhm. And like, well, because like there's a moment in the in I think it's the first episode where he like takes one of the bad guys' phones and like kicks it and like smashes it into one of the dude's faces and stuff. But there is a nod to Screwball in that. And Screwball has been referenced in some of like some of the marketing and stuff and whatnot. I would love it if they just said, no, we're going to put the YouTuber character in here and we're going to make her obnoxious and frustratingly painful sometimes. God, those Screwball missions in the game suck. Like, I would love
You
to see
think-
that character.
Do you think they could do... I know it probably doesn't make sense to do it here because he's in high school, but like the Jackal Ben Reilly stuff, I don't think they dabble into clones here, but that would be fun. You do it multiverse style because you're already doing multiverse shit. Presumably with Spider-Gwen and you get the paradox and all that stuff.
I mean, I'm
Is
not
there a
sure
way to
if
tie all that into Ben Reilly
I'm
is
not
some
sure
way?
how to do multidimensional for Spider-Gwen.
I gotta be honest here. I'm getting nostalgic to watching that '90s version of the Spider-Man.
Honestly, when are we doing an episode of the 90s version of Spider-Man? 'Cause that's basically what I
I
want.
thought that's what we were gonna get after X-Men '97.
Hey,
I mean,
there's
with the
still time.
cameo at the end of that show,
Yeah.
There's still time.
I do still think they're going to announce Spider-Man 98 or whatever it's going to be. But
Yeah. They should. They should. Wrap this series up after 3 and then move on to Spider-Man 98.
although I don't know if they're going to touch Ben Reilly because he was voiced by the wonderful Andy Samberg in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which I also want to just go and watch again.
Oh.
It's just making me want to watch all the Spider-Man media, especially stuff I haven't seen. Like that new Spider-Man show where they set up Web. That was something not on my radar at the time.
Honestly, it's kind of forgettable.
Yeah, but it also gives me an excuse to go and watch all the other good ones like Marvel Spider-Man and Spectacular and
Spectacular's
the Neil
so
Patrick
good.
Harris one, Spider-Man Unlimited, which existed for a reason that I'm not aware of. Yeah.
Don't mind me as I'm fixing OBS things.
Now I'm just going to look at Disney Plus. Okay.
Yeah,
I
there's
wanted to
plenty of
play a
Spider-Man
game
stuff.
before we wrap here, and it feels like we're kind of going off the rails. So I'm gonna pivot us,
Yeah, go for
Go
it.
ahead.
if that's cool. If we've said enough about the show, go watch the show. It's fun.
watch the show.
It's a
Watch
good time.
the show. It's really good. It's 8
I mean,
episodes. Go fast.
10
real quick.
episodes.
10 episodes. Even good.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, my technical qualms aside, I enjoy the stories. Griffin, I want to play a game with you. And Justin, you're welcome to participate as well, although it'll probably just end up being me and Griffin. I want to play a game of what Disney movie is going to be the next one to get me into a theater. Because we
Okay.
talked about how we're just waiting on Disney Plus for like Mufasa and
Okay, let me
Moana
pull
and
up
probably
what Disney
Snow
movies are
White.
coming.
Okay, so I will list them for you to save you the time.
not
For the
counting
rest
the
of this
Marvel.
year, you've got from Marvel Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four. From Pixar, you have Elio. 20th Century Films, you have The Amateur, which looks fantastic, starring Rami Malek,
Oh, right.
where he plays like a CIA guy whose wife gets murdered, and then he uses like tech to kill people or to get.
I didn't know that was a remake. That's a remake of an old
Is
movie.
it?
Yes.
Oh, it's based on it was previously adapted as a Canadian film, but it was based on a novel.
Yeah.
But that looks really good. So that's coming out this year from 20th Century, as are Ella McKay, Predator Badlands, and Avatar Fire and Ash. And then getting into Disney slate, you have Lilo and Stitch, Freakier Friday, Tron Ares, which if you haven't already, there's going to be another video up really close to this with us reacting to our first look at that trailer, as well as Zootopia 2. So my question for you, Griffin,
You will be back.
what movie gets me back into a movie theater?
I'm looking at this straight. Looking at the slate here, you're going back in May. I don't know if it's Thunderbolts or Lilo and Stitch, but you're going back for one of them.
Justin, what do you think?
I got you down for Fantastic Four.
Really, we're skipping May and June. All right. Well, we'll have to find out if those episodes come out.
Fantastic Four. I think I might even get you to go back for Tron.
I can easily convince you to like, okay, Mitch, we're gonna go see Thunderbolts. Let's go.
I mean, but then I just got to make sure that we have a babysitter, or Carmen doesn't want to see the movie and she wants to see Thunderbolts. So that's probably the one. Although I do really want to go and see The Amateur when that comes out, which comes out a little earlier. But Carmen also wants to see that, so that might be one we wait on to watch together on Disney Plus.
I will be going and seeing it, so like, I'm down to do an episode.
I am too, but it might be one that we wait for Disney Plus. Just it'll depend on scheduling.
It's very rare we get to do a 20th Century Studios episode, so
we'll definitely do that one. It's just whether or not it's theater or home release.
Also, wild, by the way, that it's the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want to go to theaters for that too.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do an episode. We'll do an episode on Revenge of the Sith.
That's also that will be April 25th when that's.
I was gonna say we'll do ours on May the 4th because.
Make sure you do Andor, season 2 starting soon.
Well, we'll do those weekly. Yeah.
Sounds like May the 4th we're doing that new Star Wars.
Oh, they're doing Tales of the Underworld.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna talk about everything and nothing for now, so I'm gonna wrap up this episode. Justin,
let's wrap it up.
Thank you for hanging out with us.
You're welcome. So much fun. I just love driving with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. Are you working on anything right now you want to shout out?
Nothing to work on. I got busy with work, so we'll keep that going. But I appreciate being on here. So it's always great to see you guys.
We'll have you back when we talk about 90s Spider-Man.
Oh, definitely.
Although honestly, I'm pretty sure I could start a fight in the Discord over who gets to come on that episode.
I mean, we could get a couple of folks. It'll be a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you want to keep up with our stuff, of course, follow us on YouTube or podcast services, D plus us, where you can catch all of our wonderful stuff. We will.
How old does my son have to be into Spidey and his amazing friends?
Oh, that's
4.
like super easy.
Yeah,
Good.
it's easy.
Yeah,
that's where we're starting, and then he gets to enjoy real Spider-Man. 90s Spider-Man.
Look,
my Spider-Man.
Fair enough. Anyways, folks, go check out our other stuff. Come check out this show when we do it again. We will be back next time, but until then, be good to each other and have a magical day.
Excelsior.